one of your typical Cowboys and Yankee fans.
Interesting.
So that's going to be interesting since everybody knows that I'm an Eagles fan and a Red Sox fan. So that dynamic is going to be pretty fun. But anyways, so
yeah, I'm a Jays fan, so we got
of course because you're Canadian.
Yeah, we got a good mix.
So there we go. And then Brian's a Mets fan, so good thing he's not here.
Yeah.
So Sunday. What did you see? What did you want to see? What didn't you see? How angry were you? How much did you drink?
Definitely drank after that game, but I mean, it's always frustrating when immediately I feel like we definitely didn't get some calls, and that's frustrating. I'm never going to blame a game on calls, but what I'd hope to see is that this team could bounce back from adversity a bit more. Plays aren't necessarily bouncing your way. The 49ers are running all over you. That's kind of what we expected. I think the 49ers were what we expected them to be. I don't think they really showed anything that we weren't expecting. Jimmy G was the game manager that he is. The running game was how it's been. Just the Eagles couldn't seem to bounce back until late in the fourth quarter. An unfortunate miss on the clock there at the very end. Maybe we had a shot at it, but you just can't wait until the fourth quarter to kickstart the engine against a team like that. And that's kind of what I saw. I don't think it's really cause for concern. The offense is going to go through its ups and downs. It's a new system. It's a new quarterback, new receivers. But I definitely think it's disappointing because we were in that game. The 49ers were what we expected, and we just couldn't finish. So frustrating.
Right. A lot was going into this game, obviously, about the 49ers defensive front, their linebackers. We talked about this before the game. Their secondary wasn't much, and we
right.
kind of. But the thing is, like, they stopped going after those corners. Like, the corners really weren't much. Demondre Lenoir was doing well. Jimmy Ward is just Jimmy Ward. He's a really good safety. But outside of those two players, it really wasn't much. So they didn't do anything out there. They were attacking those sides. I'm not sure if you saw it, but it was the next gen chart was going around how Jalen Hurts just was hitting the sidelines over and over and over and nothing in the middle. So it's not for lack of trying, but really it's just they weren't connecting. So the timing wasn't there. Offensive, it looked like we were looking at 2020 Eagles again. How stale it was going. How stupid it was with the freaking Philly special at the goal line. Like, what are you doing down there? Especially with QB1. I'm sorry, QB2. Greg Ward trying to, come on. That was.
I mean, I don't blame the quarterback. He threw out there, gave him a chance. Because Jalen Hurts got to work on his route running a bit. Not a great route from him.
It was not a great route from Jalen Hurts. It's you got to give your quarterback a chance, and he did not give him a chance there. But and just getting really, really stupid, I guess.
Yeah.
And you go away from Miles Sanders leading the game. And like a week after, I was praising Sirianni for
sticking to
Miles Sanders. Like he had 11 carries in the second half against the Falcons, and that was the fifth most in the entire league. It's.
I figured you'd pin that.
Now I don't know who left is for this person. Like I don't know if left is you.
It's definitely you.
I don't know.
I'm not a daddy.
Not yet. If you talk to Ray Trace over there, it's I don't know. I don't get why, especially when a game was so close like that. You go away from your best runner on the team. I think we've been seeing a lot more Kenny Gainwell than we. I love Kenny, but we've been seeing a little more than we should. Jesus Christ. That we haven't seen that we saw last year, kind of with Boston Scott and the other running backs that we didn't want to see more of. Like we were clamoring for more Miles Sanders last year, and we saw last year Boston Scott get too many touches, and we're like, where's Miles? Where's Miles? This year we saw in game one. Okay, it's a Miles Sanders show with a sprinkle of little Kenny G in there. Who doesn't love a little Kenny G at night? And then it was a lot more Kenny G. It was like watching that Boston Scott rotation again. But it was rough. But it was refreshing to hear Sirianni just like take complete accountability about all the play calling. Like we were so used to Doug Peterson saying, "I got to look in the mirror. I got to look in the mirror. I got to look in the mirror. We'll get at it." And Sirianni was just straight out like, "This is my fault. Like you can't. I got to call better plays." And that was refreshing. Defensively, they did a much better job than I thought they would, especially against a team coached by offensive genius Kyle Shanahan. It's just that they got tired because the offense wasn't giving them a chance.
Yeah, I mean, that was the most frustrating part to me is what you're talking about. Is it seemed like, and this is a very difficult team to run the football against, and it seemed like we're, starting to see some cracks in the armor from the linebackers, from the defensive line. The offensive line played pretty well, as good as you can ask them to play, and it seemed like Miles Sanders was gaining some traction there and starting to pick up 4 or 5 yards run and just disappeared in the second half. With the passing game, with the deep shots, you love that he's taking them. A little bit of footwork issues is what I saw. And they're like Brian Westbrook shared a video on Twitter as well, where just the feet aren't ready. I think Jalen Hurts is still kind of in that rusty period where he's had an off season and still trying to make too many plays with his legs and not trusting his arm and just throwing it a bit late, maybe just not trusting his eyes as well. He had some pretty wide open receivers on some occasions and just missed them. But you just can't go into a game expecting that because they have a banged up secondary that's just going to win you the game. I didn't see really any adjustment from the passing game. That they decided early that they were going to try and test those corners deep, and they just kept doing it. And obviously you have to keep doing that all game, but when other stuff's working, I feel like just abandoning the run and abandoning the short passing game doesn't make any sense. And something we haven't even brought up is the lack of the tight end use, man. Dallas Goedert made the best play of the game. He by far. I mean, obviously the Quez Watkins play, but Dallas wanted to win this game, man. Towards the end, he's making plays, and it took that long to get him the ball. I think this would have been a completely different game if they got those tight ends involved early.
Right, especially when the linebackers are keying in. I mean, I guess I read that the linebackers were really keying in on Hurts. They were just, but
you gotta trust them, man.
You have to get those linebackers to play at least some sort of man on either or tight ends or on Hurts, because if you don't use those tight ends, then they're like, you know what, it's just we're going to key on Hurts. But yeah, it was very frustrating to see that, and a game where you saw in the Falcons game, Hurts was like close to last on the air yards and all, like complete air yards, average air yards, and then you go to Sunday and Hurts is averaging 15 point something yards, air yards to each pass. So you got to find a middle ground there. Like, what are you trying to do? Like, I get this is kind of an install year, but you still could kind of try to win games, I guess. You gotta find some intermediate ground there. And yeah, maybe against the Cowboys you can do kind of because their corners are, but at the same time, they got linebackers and defensive line just like the 49ers did. You gotta control the clock, and just throwing it deep and incomplete, it's not gonna do it.
It looked like it was a 20-point game out there sometimes, and they were within a touchdown for most of the game. Just throwing deep shots, and again, it's a figuring out period, but I think you're looking back on what Sirianni brings to the table and what he doesn't, and one of those things that he didn't do much of with the Colts is use tight ends. So I think there's going to be a bit of a figuring out process about how to use them best, how to get the ball in their hands. But that's what we needed. We needed first downs that we just weren't getting. We didn't need deep balls. We didn't need to get it all back in one play. Again, just reminiscent of Doug Peterson. I think on the defensive side, what I saw is similar to what I saw against the Falcons. And I know you weren't here last week, but I was talking to Brian about it, and just a lack of discipline from the linebackers. They had that little pitch play where they were, leaking outside and then looking for the cutback lane, and it just worked every single time. We couldn't stop it. And just over pursuit from the linebackers, right? Like they're great, they're athletic, they can move, but just not disciplined yet. And you brought in Eric Wilson hoping that he could bring that kind of mentorship. I know that he really hasn't had as much experience as a lot of guys in this league either, but just undisciplined linebacking, too much over pursuit, and those cutback lanes were wide open. Corners did a pretty good job, man. Deebo Samuel's hard to contain. He's always going to kind of get his. But overall,
I'm just happy I have him on my fantasy team.
Yeah, honestly. I mean, did we both win again? I think
I won. Yes, I'm 2-0.
You had a good week, yeah.
I'm 2-0. Yeah.
Pretty good week. Are you first now, or
I am first. I am first by like 0.4 over Zach.
Okay.
Yeah, it's just I just win. That's it. I just pick the right players. It usually when you have the number one overall pick, you don't really draft that great of a team. But I get up here, I'm just going against the grain here. It's just I'm just doing me. But yeah, it's you said it, like last year, Indianapolis wasn't a 12 personnel really team. I'm trying to get the numbers now. I'm on Walter Football right now, and last year, Indianapolis ran 12 personnel 21% of the time, and that was I can't sort it. Like Arizona was 30, Philly was 35, Tennessee was 35, Giants were 27, Minnesota was 22, Miami was 28. So all these teams were above Indianapolis. But then going into the season, you hear Sirianni talk about 12 personnel and the mismatches that it brings up. You get two tight ends on the field, in this case, Ertz and Goddard, and then you have running backs. So you're creating a mismatch all the time. And they did not use that whatsoever on Sunday, and it was very frustrating to see. And then something that people were coming at me on Twitter, which is very surprising because no one ever comes at me for anything on Twitter because I'm always correct.
Such a nice guy too.
I'm a very nice guy too. Yeah, thank you. At least Rach Face agrees with that too. I wrote that there's no question about Jalen Hurts' arm strength. I think he has great arm strength, but my concern is the strength endurance. How many times can you throw it deep over and over and over a game? Like we saw that Quez Watkins play early in the game. I think it was second quarter. And all these different deep shots, 40 plus yards of the field, are always pretty much the ones that are completed are earlier in the game. The ones that are a little short, yeah, they can do that. That goes into timing too, especially when your arm's pretty fatigued. You better be like, hey, I'm gonna let it go a little earlier. But you see that ball getting shorter and shorter and shorter as the time goes on. And we just I don't know if Hurts has that endurance for his arm to go over and over and over, just throwing it deep. He doesn't have a Josh Allen arm who can do it from the minute they go out to overtime period, the last second in overtime. Like he can do it every single second. Like Pat Mahomes can, Herbert can, Aaron Rodgers probably can, but Hurts can't. And people coming at me like, oh, he has great arm strength. It's just accuracy. I get it. Like I'm not. It's just I think he gets a little tired. And people also put at the point, well, if he's getting tired after only 23 passes, which is what he attempted, then that's an issue. Yes, that is an issue. I'm not arguing, but I just think right now it's a valid question on can he sustain that over a period. But at the same time, even if it is his issue, you can still work around that.
For sure.
You don't need a quarterback to throw it deep all game long.
Yeah,
you just need to pick and choose when that's going to happen.
Well, I think two things that I saw, just adding on to that, is one of the big factors in that is footwork. And your arm's going to get really tired if you're not getting that full body behind your arm. There's the particular throw to Devontae Smith. This is the one that Brian Westbrook shared. Just like on the run, gets his feet kind of mixed up and ends up throwing with his feet flat and beside each other. Like that's all arm. So throws like that are going to take a lot of that endurance out. So then the next throw is going to be a little bit shorter. I mean, a lot of these long throws, when you're seeing them in real time, they're not terrible throws. The receivers are getting their hands on them, but they're a bit behind. So I think that's a lot of timing and that's a lot of trust. So I think there's a combination of all three going on. If you're throwing the ball with all arm early on, then by the end of the game, you're not going to have much strength left. And then two, just like you're saying, it's time. If you get the ball out early, you don't have to throw it 40 yards downfield. You can throw it 30. You can throw it, 25. It doesn't matter. So if the timing's there, you don't really need a strong arm quarterback. But you're right. It's not going to be his calling card. It's something that he brings to the table, but I don't think that should be the Eagles' game plan going forward, that Jalen Hurts is going to come out and bomb the ball all game. We got speed on this team. That's great, but, speed doesn't always have to be vertical. We didn't see much of any type of crossing routes. We didn't attack the middle of the field very much. And we did see some screens early on, but, slants, even just like hooks and all that stuff, just less and less of, and just trying to bomb it and beat them early. So something you can build off of, certainly, but you'd hope to see that adjustment at halftime. I know, again, it was a close game at halftime, but
you just let it get away from you.
Well, the goal shouldn't have been, oh, we're down, let's start bombing the football. The goal should have been, okay, let's build off of what we've been doing and capitalize in the red zone.
And Sirianni's so big on coaching to your players' strengths.
Right.
You really have one deep ball specialist in Quez there. Everybody else has speed, really, and we saw Rhaegar, he has speed to burn too.
Sure.
But Devontae Smith, Jalen Rhaegar, Zach Ertz, Dallas Goedert, those guys are built on yak. Like they are built, maybe not Zach Ertz so much, but they are built on getting the ball and making a move in space. So why not do more of that? Like why not?
Right.
That was the thing against the Falcons, and I was fine with it. Hurts was averaging so low air yards because they were getting this to these guys in space, and they were making moves, and they were going, which is great. I was like, okay, that's fine. Let's do it like that. But now they just went completely away from it, and that's something that hopefully they can figure it out Monday night, because they are going against a Cowboys team that actually won a game that I didn't think they were going to win. So I think Justin Herbert, the world of Justin Herbert. I've said it many times on this podcast. I've said it. Obviously things can change from now until that game. But I think Justin Herbert's just going to tear us apart when the game comes. And Mike Williams, and I kind of hope, at least any points that the Chargers get is to Mike Williams, because again, he's on my fantasy team. So, it's just, I'm selfish reasons. But the Cowboys actually, played really well. I hate that saying that, and beat a Chargers team down to the wire that I really thought they were going to be going 0-2 into this game. But now it's the battle of 1-1s. It is and Dallas. Last time Hurts played Dallas, I think he carved them up. Still lost, but carved them up. So we are now, since Brian's not here, we decided to spice up the podcast a little bit since Brian's not here. And for those of you that don't know, there is a podcast out there called Birds versus Boys, where an Eagles fan and a Cowboys fan, part of Branded Sports, have a podcast together, which is very interesting. And also, the Cowboys fan, I was told, is a Cowboys and Yankees fan. So that typical Cowboys, Yankees. I wonder if he's a Lakers fan too. Probably a Lakers fan. Probably Alabama, Crimson Tide fan too. All of the above. It's just, and I got to get my shots in because, as everybody knows, I'm an Eagles and Redskins. Not Redskins. Eagles and Red Sox fan. So, and born and raised in the Bronx. So now, without further ado, let's bring on Aiden and Kevin, part of the Birds versus Boys podcast.
Gentlemen, not an Alabama Crimson Tide. It gets better. Go Irish, baby. That's how it's
very close. Very close.
I thought you were not a Lakers fan. Not a Lakers fan. I'm a Sixers fan. Don't worry. How about them boys? Let's go, NJ. What's up, fellas? Thanks for having us on. Happy Hate Week.
Happy Hate Week. Absolutely.
How are you guys doing? Chris, it's so funny you asked us to come on because you just popped up on my timeline the other day. Congrats on the birth of your son.
Oh,
that's pretty cool. Yeah. And then I saw the picture you posted with taking the family for a stroll in the neighborhood and having the sour monkey, and it was just like a glance 5 to 10 years into my future. I can't wait to be at that point.
I think it's closer to 15 years for you, Aiden.
Yeah, but it was just funny.
Most time this pops up on your timeline, it's not that happy. I'll be honest.
Yeah. Most of the time, like you got lucky. You got lucky with that post. Like the first time I go on someone's timeline, it's that's nice. But the thing is, if it's that, it only goes downhill from there. Like it's no.
You got to start high.
At least from everybody else, that was a high point. But they started low and they got up to there. But you just started here. Now it's just going to be a drop all the way down.
Listen, you only get one chance at a first impression, so
Yeah,
that was perfect.
true.
The sour monkey was perfect.
That's true. And
what are you fellas drinking right now? I was told that we're sipping right a little bit.
I just finished my red label, so I'm going on to beer right now.
Okay. Brought a little stateside vodka to the party. So
Perfect.
There we go. Always.
Oh, is this a sponsored podcast or something?
It is. Yeah. No big deal.
Yeah,
It's all
so-
Okay, we might have to talk to these stateside people, after this. Jesus.
We'll talk.
Good. They're great guys.
I mean, one of the coolest bottles ever. It's made right in Philadelphia, and it's delicious. So
I'm trying to work on some Philly beer sponsors.
Yeah,
but,
we'll talk.
They haven't emailed me back yet. But yeah, we used to be. Actually, I think we still are. Just haven't talked to them in a while. Sponsored by Tavor, that beer delivery service. I just, if we still are, we're probably not anymore after this. They're really overrated. So,
so no, the answer is no. The answer is no.
And I'm saying that just because they haven't sent me beer in a long time, so I get petty. Actually, I never get petty. But anyways, yeah. So. Well, first, let me say thank you, Ben. Thanks. Shit. Now, sorry. I got a new computer with this.
He's not usually the guy that does this.
We have a producer behind the scenes who does all that stuff, so we know how that feels right now.
Get into the studio, so
and I got him like this freaking touchpad is so sensitive that I X'd myself out last week by accident.
It's always funny when we have guests on too. We always depending on their age range of who's going to have trouble getting in the studio, and then the younger people are right in. It's always funny.
Yeah. That's why we try to keep our guests to a pretty good age, or they know what they're doing. Like when we had this was before Morgan's time. Morgan just joined us back in May when he had to
providing the youth on this podcast.
Yeah, we got a little too old. Like I'm 32, Brian's 32, so Morgan had to come into the 20s.
I better leave that. Yeah. I'm 34.
Jesus Christ! I'm surprised you can work a computer.
I'll have to get a 6-year-old on here next week or something.
I'll bring on my toddler next week.
All right,
there you go. Perfect.
Yeah. So it's so we had Trey Thomas on a couple years ago. We had Brian Dawkins on 2 years ago. So it's awesome. Older people that know what they're doing, and then it's just there's other people like that. We don't even want to do it. They don't even know what a computer is nowadays. But anyways, so thanks guys for coming on.
Absolutely.
Big week. Let's start with Kevin. I'm sure we know the Aiden Fields and all that. Let's start with Kevin. You guys lost to who?
Tampa.
Thursday
night, opening game of the season. Right down to the wire.
That's a given.
There's pretending like he doesn't know.
That's a given. That's a given. And I'm actually surprised you guys, brought it out with the Chargers. The Chargers are one of my, favorite teams this year, and I think they're going to do really good things. I love Justin Herbert. It's just it's crazy how you guys won that. So how are you feeling? How's Micah Parsons looking at edge now? And what's up?
So I went into we do on our show, we always do 2 picks going in as well. Won the Packers -11 last night, by the way, but I took the Chargers -3. So I lost my own bet against my own team because I was on the same wavelength as you, Chris. I didn't see them going into LA in the first game in front of Chargers fans, which it turned out there are no Chargers fans. It was packed with Dallas fans. If you heard the end, when Zerline hits the kick, it sounds like it's in AT&T Stadium. It's unbelievable. So that was a big swing. But I didn't think they were going to go into the game and do what they did, going right down the field. It was the first time the Cowboys have scored on their opening drive in 21 games. So they went right down the field. They set the tone, and they used one of my favorite guys, Tony Pollard. I love Zeke, but Pollard needs to get the ball more, and he did in this game.
Good guy.
He's a beast. He has juice. Something that Zeke's a fullback now. Unfortunately, we have a $27 million a year fullback. It's wonderful.
That's great.
So yeah, I was worried
with the nose ring
and the big hair.
And he likes to buy sex toys with Dak.
Apparently he does. But I'm okay with that as long as he stays over 4.5 4.5 yards a clip. But yeah, I wasn't that worried about the offense. I thought they were going to move the ball. They're going to be able to move the ball on almost any defense in the league if they were able to do it against Tampa. And then as soon as I saw Chris Harris was out, I knew that, the holes were going to open up for this wide receiving core, even without Michael Gallup. I mean, Cedric Wilson showed what he can do, stepping up in the third. What I was really worried about, and what I'm worried about this entire season, obviously, is the defense. They can't get any worse than they were last year because they were historically bad. They still are very bad and weak on the back end. If I'm you guys, if you have an in with Jalen Hurts, throw it 30 all game long. Just throw it Anthony Brown, send Quez Watkins 6 plays in a row. He's going to be open.
Yeah,
so
Anthony
that's where
Brown,
I was worried.
that first game of the season for you guys, Anthony Brown was having quite the Michael Jaquette stat line from last year when Frank Jaquette was getting thrown at like 20 times and
by Amari Cooper
19 times. Yeah, it's just that was bad. So that was Anthony Brown. Like I was, and it was weird because it was A Brown on A Brown crime. It was just Antonio Brown on Anthony Brown.
Do you guys know the really funny thing about Anthony Brown? We talk about this a lot. What he has tattooed on his shoulder?
No, is it a toast? Is it burnt toast?
He has an actual like Lay's potato chip, so he has an actual chip tattooed on his shoulder with his draft number.
Yeah,
get him out of here.
I wonder if it's like barbecue flavor because it looks burnt
because it gets toasted
all the time. But Micah, yeah, you talked about Micah. Micah's a freak. He can play linebacker. He immediately became the best defensive end on this team. He had 8 pressures. He looked unbelievable. I think if it was any other quarterback than Justin Herbert, he would have had 2 or 3 sacks in that game. The 1 sack he did have, a little questionable. I don't know about that call in the grasp at the end of the game, but it could have been intentional grounding anyway. So I'm not going to talk about that. But
didn't he go up against like a really bad right tackle?
Yeah, I mean, he was going against Slater, and then they're like, okay, enough of this. Get on the other side. Yeah, he was going against Balaga's backup. So, but hey, for a rookie, hasn't played football in over 2 years, only his second game in over 2 years, and he's doing that at the NFL level. I'm okay with that. But I want him back at linebacker this week. I think he needs to almost spy Jalen Hurts if anyone can kind of contain Hurts' running ability.
Because you don't want Jalen Smith doing that.
No, I don't want Jalen Smith anywhere near my team. And I'm a Notre Dame fan.
Before we let Morgan and Aiden talk, Morgan, how do you feel about this? Because Morgan, you've been the hair on the podcast.
I think his haircut's also fantastic.
Oh, look at Kevin. Look. Now,
that's good. Kevin's got a solid haircut. Morgan, you've got a solid. We've got solid barbers all around on this show.
Honestly, I need to
get how do you feel about it, Chris?
Yeah, right.
That's what you should be asking.
No, the good thing Brian's not on because his glare would have been freaking shining into the camera.
What happens when he goes for a haircut? They just like
they shine it. They shine it. You know the bowling ball shiner? They just squirt it on. They just.
Oh, is he bald? Is he bald?
Yeah, he's bald.
Oh man.
Yeah.
I'm going gray. I'll take going gray all day over going bald.
Oh, I'm gray here. And this started in my 20s. But I told my wife as soon as my hair. What?
And just had a child. It's only
and just had my second child, so it's only going to get worse. But I told my wife as soon as my hair recedes, like my hair gets shorter. Like this is long for me. I'll get a skin fade and get it down. But as soon as my hair recedes, everything's coming off. I'm not letting my hair recede. Absolutely. Done. I take too much pride in this hairline. As soon as it goes back, that's it. No more.
You're out.
It's a wrap. Yep.
Okay, enough about hair.
I was gonna ask. You mentioned a couple things that I wanted to touch on. One is Zeke. Kind of been an unknown factor for a while. Lost some weight in this offseason. Has looked a little better. I think like he's got a little more bounce to his step. Are we ever going to see that Zeke again? Also, with the linebacking situation, how you feel about that going forward? And we got to get Aiden involved. I feel like.
Aiden will jump in. Aiden will jump in.
We can't just talk Cowboys. How did you feel about that 49ers game? What do you think is the one takeaway for offense and defense, especially leading into this Cowboys game? What's one thing we really need to see some improvement on? Or what's one thing that you thought, not so bad that's kind of being blown out of proportion? So we'll start with Kevin on those two things, and then we'll bump over, I feel like.
So are we ever going to see 2016 Zeke again? No. I think that man, that running back, that myth, that former legend is gone. I think they ran him into the ground, which they should do. Especially in 2016, that's why they won the division. That's
right.
Why they got the first round pick, because they were able to do that. They showed a little bit in this game against the Chargers, that kind of 2016-ish offense again, but they were able to do it with Zeke and with Pollard. I think that's what they need to do. They need to use both of these guys. I hate when people call Pollard the scat back, because he's not. He's a big dude. He's just fast. He can run up the middle. He can run. Anybody can run behind Zach Martin, but he can take the ball up the middle and take some of these carries off Zeke, so he doesn't have to be that $27 million a year running back that he is paid to be. So no, I don't think we're ever going to see him again. I think they get out of his contract after next year when they can get. So I think this year and maybe next year is his last two, and then he'll end up in Kansas City and win a ring, just like Lev Bell did. And the linebacker
not playing.
Yeah, exactly. That's my dream.
Just clip him, Le'Veon Bell, LaShawn McCoy, just riding benches to rings.
It's like the Ravens right now. They have
the other Ewoks, whatever.
Ravens have like 18 different they might as well just sign Todd Gurley right now. Like, why not? Frank Gore,
Devontae Freeman, Le'Veon Bell, all those guys are over there.
Murray, just bring in Frank Gore and bring in Gurley. Why not? But the linebacking core, how do I feel? I don't know. I love Micah Parsons. I am very high on Jabril Cox. His future, I think they got him a steal in the 5th round this year.
I think so too. I absolutely hate you guys the fact that you got him, because before the season started, I interviewed the associate head coach for LSU, Mickey Joseph, and we were talking about Jamar Chase. We were talking about Terrace Marshall. We were talking about Joe Brady, because at that point, it was in January. So at that point, the Eagles were talking to Joe Brady about being the head coach. And I said, listen, my draft crush is your boy Jabril Cox. What's going on? And we were talking about him. And when I saw him go to the Cowboys, I was devastated.
I don't know how he lasted to the 5th. They could have took him the 3rd.
Yeah, easy.
It blew my mind. But so I'm really excited about what the two of them can do. Leighton Vander Esch played a good game this past weekend. If he can stay healthy, he is in a contract year. The Cowboys did not pick up his 5th-year option, so he's playing for something. Jalen Smith is Jalen Smith. It's not his fault that he makes the money he makes. It's the Cowboys' fault. He went to Jerry Jones when there was an opportunity, when he was handing out money, and he got his money. He's just not that player. But they need to use him in the right kind of ways, which they did against the Chargers. He played decently, and I like the Keanu Neal pickup too. I thought he played pretty well. So I'm okay at linebacker. I think they have a lot of depth. I saw a Jalen Smith to the Raiders for Keelan Farrell trade. I don't know. He was a healthy scratch this week. I'd rather have Jalen Smith on my team. I don't need that. I'm more worried about the defensive line right now, obviously, than I am linebacker. So we'll see. And we'll see what they do with Micah Parsons. I mean, Randy Gregory is going to come back this week, hopefully off COVID. But DeMarcus Lawrence is gone.
Yeah.
A minimum of 8 weeks. He's not coming back in 6 with this foot break. So what are they going to do there? Dorrance Armstrong, Bradley Anae. I mean, those guys, they're going to struggle, I think, against the Eagles this week, and those 2 tackles you guys have. I really do.
How about we let Aiden talk?
Yeah.
He doesn't like to talk.
No. I let Kevin have his moment. He loves to go off on the Cowboys, and he is the guest of honor this week, if you can call a Cowboys fan that. But as for our game against the 49ers, I wasn't overly disappointed. I thought we looked a little bit young and inexperienced against a great coach and a formidable team in the 49ers, which is going into the season is exactly what we thought we were going to be. You've got guys like Colin Cowherd coming out and saying we're going to be 3-14. And while I don't foresee that, I think
sorry to interrupt, Caden. Aiden, I said Caden because my son's name's Caden.
Look at that!
Look at this connection already.
And then Colin, the season. So Colin Cowherd, I called him out and I said I invite him to this podcast so we can debate and it could be all for charity and all that stuff. And he still hasn't answered me. So
it's because he's a coward.
And there you go. And we know we know someone who knows his agent, and then they're trying to get us in touch. I mean, he refuses to answer us. So
I mean, what else is he doing?
It's getting people off his daughter's Instagram.
He might need to do that because I don't know if you guys have seen those comments on her Instagram, but they're not pretty. But no, I mean, I think, and bring up Coward in the 3-14 thing. One of the reasons I think that our team's going to be better and why I'm still positive after a loss is maturity in football is learning that real life isn't like Madden. It's not about skill position players. It's about the offensive line. And we have a very good offensive line again. It's rough that Brandon Brooks is going to the IR, but a 3-14 team just isn't going to happen with an offensive line like this. We'll see how Landon Dickerson plays, but even in that game against the 49ers, early on, they were creating holes. We saw a lot of 2nd and 4s, 2nd and 3s, where there was a lot of space for Miles Sanders and Kenny Gainwell. So my main takeaway from the game is week 1 in Atlanta, you're like, all right, that team is atrocious.
ACC, they're a bad ACC team.
Yeah, I don't know if they could beat Georgia Tech. I don't know if they're the best football team in Atlanta right now. I don't know if they're better than Georgia State in Atlanta right now. They are awful. And we pulverized them up front, both on the offensive line and defensive line. But you held your own against a really good front seven, the 49ers. So that's why I'm not freaking out over a loss. And then on the other side, one thing that did impress me a little bit, just having 2 cornerbacks. You guys brought up Jaquette earlier in the episode, which just gives me PTSD, especially going into Dallas in AT&T Stadium in prime time again. It's just nice to have like somebody opposite of Darius Slay, allow Avonte Maddox to fill his role in the slot, and just you're a little bit more confident when they throw it at those guys. And Michael Gallup won't be there, but CeeDee Lamb and Amari Cooper are 2 phenomenal wide receivers. So we'll really be tested, but I just have a little bit more confidence in the defensive backs right now. So I came away from that game saying, you know what, a loss against a really good NFC West team, which is going to be one hell of a division, but it should be up and up from here. I like it's going to be another 50-50 game on Monday, but I like the prospects of the season going forward.
As long as Avonte Maddox is on the field, I am not confident.
You know,
I'll trade you. I'll give you Anthony Brown right now.
No. Let's not go that far.
Avonte Maddox has always been what he's been since he's been at Pitt. I don't know if you guys remember. There was a game against Oklahoma State where they scored 70 and just threw it over the top of him. He's a step slow and an inch too short, but he should never be your CB2. He's like a solid slot cornerback, and that's about it.
And
this is one of our very what's the word I'm looking for?
Long-term.
Dedicated long-term fans, Duck. He brings up a good point. We want to give up 1 touchdown in 2 games. But the thing is, our secondary so far has been a better version of Jim Schwartz's secondary, I guess. Like it's been very bend but don't break. With a lot more bend than break for the most part, but still, you don't want that bend whatsoever. It's like these teams are driving, and then field goals. Okay, great, but it's still points. We still need 3 and outs. Like at some point, and we saw that with San Francisco, driving. Okay, bend but don't break. But then later on, with the offense not doing much, all that driving, and bending, it leads to breaking later on because they're so freaking tired. It's ridiculous. So it's like for the first drive against Atlanta, I kind of went a little overboard saying that this is probably the worst defense I've ever seen in my life. But it's been better. Like I'm very happy that we have Steven Nelson across with Darius Slay, and we don't have people shorter than me out on the outside right now. And I'm only 6 foot. I tell my wife 6'1", but I'm 6 foot. But it's. I went to Liberty Science Center one year in Jersey City, and they told me I was 5'10". I almost broke the machine.
I'm not telling how tall I am. Shit.
So that strikes me as a 5'6" Cowboys fan.
5'7".
Oh, close.
I was so close.
I love it.
We don't height shame. It's just
the quads. I'm fine with being short. It's okay.
There you go. My thing are calves.
Put at us, Chris. Like, all right, we get it.
Right. I'm a chest of calves person. Like I post my benching videos all the time.
I have a blood clot in my calf right now, so I can't really talk much about my calves.
It's I post my bicep curl videos all the time. It's all right. Nothing with quads because I have herniated discs. So it's refreshing to see someone not named Avonte Maddox or Jaquette or Kevin Seymour or anybody other than Steven Nelson outside on the outside right now. But it's Avonte Maddox, which is surprising to me because against the Niners, I think he was our highest graded corner. maybe against the Niners. But it just seemed to me, just watching the game, he was just missing tackles left and right. Coverage is probably good, but tackles, he can't tackle. I want my corners to be able to tackle.
Let me ask you guys a question. So I would you agree that the Cowboys offense is going to be the most dynamic offense your defense has seen so far this season, correct?
Yeah.
More than the Niners.
They will probably have the best wide receiver duo we've seen. We've seen the best tight end so far. I mean, George Kittle didn't really do much, but I mean, you see Kyle Pitts too. Kyle Pitts, there's no one on the Cowboys that are even close to them. So it's really wide receivers.
So how do you think your corners are going to match up? Because the Cowboys, what they've been doing this year is, I mean, no receiver is in once. Nobody's the X. Nobody's Amari's in the slot. CD's outside. CD's in the slot. So do you think Slay's going to carry Cooper, or is he just going to stay on his side, Nelson on his side?
They haven't been switching very much so far.
Okay.
I think
Slay's on his side.
The matchup that I was most concerned about is what I've seen, and it may just be the receivers he's played against, but I've seen Slay a step slow. So the matchup that I was most concerned about is him against Gallup. So we won't have to see that, but that would have been the game breaking. Gallup goes for a long touchdown. Obviously CD's fast, but just not the same type of receiver. Amari's a route runner. So he does fairly well against those guys. Steven Nelson surprised me. I think that he might be playing as the better corner right now. Not that there's anything knock to Slay, but he's been pretty fantastic. What I think is going to be our biggest concern is Pollard. We've seen these teams kind of overextend our linebackers and be able to hit those cutback lanes. Even Zeke, that's what he's done as well. I just think he's a bit slower, but I think that Pollard might have a massive game against this linebacking core if he can just hit those cutback lanes. And the 49ers running backs, the rookie looks pretty good. He looks fast at least, but not the same kind of dangerous. And so what I'm really concerned about is just discipline at the linebacker position. I think Cooper and and CD are going to do what they do. They're going to get yards, and we're hoping that the bend but don't break works. It's a great running team, but I think we've had a really good red zone defense. We hope that continues. But I think Pollard could break a couple big ones, and that's what I'm most
especially with football. I'm looking at this up just now. Football Outsiders has the adjusted line yards for the running back yards for the Cowboys is 5.28 yards. That's third in the league. So if you're having a running game like that against these linebackers who like to
with that offensive line as well,
shoot their shot a little,
and they're playing fast too. The Cowboys are the fastest. They have the combination of playing the fastest and the most efficient. They're not playing the fastest and the most efficient, but the metrics of together, they're number one right now. So they're playing quick and they're being effective. So yeah, I mean, hitting those dumps with Pollard. I mean, Aiden, RB1, baby.
He just has just a better burst than Zeke. You've been saying it since last year, so it's translated to this year as well. It's just funny to us. Again, we're having the linebacker conversation. I feel like we do this every year, every week, and they just never invest in the position, and we keep coming back to the same issue with the linebackers. So again, relying on the front four and Javon Hargrave, who's been fantastic this year, which is a pleasant surprise. Awesome. Need a little bit more from Fletcher Cox as well, but I think that's just because of the attention that he garners on the line. But again, relying on that front four because you didn't invest in the linebackers, which has been just a tale as old as time.
It's just Howie Roseman.
Yep.
I've said this before, and I don't know, since you just came across my timeline, you've obviously never seen my article that I spoke to someone about the inside of Howie Roseman. I guess I gotta send you that article.
Wait, hold on. I think I read this before we interacted on Twitter. You were like the first one who was like, this is not go. This front office
and
is
then
toxic.
I got shit on, like, oh, you don't know shit, and then it got reported by Jeff McClain and everything. And everybody's like, oh, now it has to be true because Jeff McClain said it. And
we know how that works.
I said this in October. Like
I remember that. I remember reading that which was fantastic. I will be honest. I am. What's a nice word that's not explicit
you don't have
to describe Howie Roseman?
You don't like him. You don't have to be.
Don't like him.
It's okay.
At all.
Yeah. Rat. Would you call him a rat?
I call him a rat all the time.
Are you trying to say? Are you trying to say fuck him?
Yes.
Because you can say fucking. That's
I
fine.
didn't know if you could cuss
You
or
can say
not, but yeah,
fucking.
he's a rat. I hate
We're
him.
not sponsored.
And you were the first one to be like, hey, everyone in the building thinks he's a rat.
Go back in your broom closet, rat.
Like Chip Kelly was right. Send them to the corner. Like, send them to the back corner. But yeah, so like the person I spoke to was like, yeah, even Brian Dawkins said, why are we drafting Nate Gary? Like, and trying to make him a linebacker. It doesn't work. So I'm pretty convinced that Howie Roseman was bullied by linebackers when he was younger.
This is what our teams, Aiden and I always say this, they mirror each other, but in like different ways. You guys just don't pay attention to linebacker. We overvalue linebacker and don't pay attention to safety at all. We haven't had a safety since Roy Williams, if you want to call him even a safety. I mean, we've had Darian Thompson the last 5 years, and I want to cut my head off watching him play football.
I want to say Roy Williams was like what Landon Collins is trying to be.
Yes.
Just
until Jeremy Shockey ended his career.
Yeah, Jeremy Shockey, what a douchebag.
He literally could not cover Jeremy Shockey every time.
Shockey is a fucking douchebag. But yeah, so I love Alex Singleton. Absolutely love him. Last year, I mean, he still shows that he's all over the field. His awareness is crazy. It's just that he's all over the field and assisting on so many tackles just because really his coverage isn't great. So he's always running after the play and coming in at the end, and it's great. It's awesome. He's in the play. His hustle is, but we need a coverage linebacker so bad. We haven't had one. I think Hicks was probably our best coverage linebacker in a while. Kendricks was pretty good. Kendricks was pretty good. Yeah,
Kendricks was good.
But then before that, I mean, it's just because we've had a lot of just bruising linebackers for a long time, and it's just we really haven't had many really good coverage linebackers outside of Hicks and Kendrick. And right now, it's still the same thing. Like it's who knows when it's going to change. I hope that it looked like this new coaching staff is having a little bit more leeway in the draft than Peterson did and Schwartz did, because and maybe even hopefully even trades down the line, because again I was told that there was one way, and it came out, obviously it came out, this is common knowledge, that one room wanted Rager, one room wanted Justin Jefferson, one room wanted freaking Jeremy Chin, one room wanted Jalen Hurts, one room wanted this, one room wanted that, so it was always divided, and it looked like this, we saw it firsthand with the Milton Williams pick, when Tom Donahue was so pissed off, like, oh, why? And Howie Roseman was like, hey, and he's like, no, fuck you. and then we love that video. And we see that Milton Williams. I love Milton Williams. My final mock draft before the draft, Milton Williams was my 3rd round pick, and I just love the guy. I think he's great, and I think it pains me to say how he won a draft, but I think right now, just seeing how they were using the rookies, like when was the last time we've seen multiple rookies used in this early in the season, let alone two games in a row? Like Patrick Johnson, freaking like 6th round pick, is being used a lot, and Milton Williams is being used a lot. Obviously, Devontae Smith, now Landon Dickerson is going to be starting. Like, all these rookies are coming in. I hope this is a trend to go through, because then maybe if Jonathan Gannon is still here next year, if he doesn't coach himself into a head coaching job, next year, maybe the year after, maybe he can have a little more influence, because I think next year, I think the offense right now, obviously it stinks play, but I think it's more of a play calling thing. I think it's more of a coaching trying to get what it figure out rather than roster, because hopefully Jalen Hurts can show that he's the guy. You have Miles Sanders for another year. You have Kenny Gainwell. You have Smith. You have Rager. You have Watkins. You have Dallas Goedert, maybe in an extension. Who knows if Zach Ertz can be there? So that's really the question there. But the line overall is pretty set outside of Jason Kelce. Who knows if he's retiring or not? Who knows if Brandon Brooks comes back? But you still have some depth there. But I hope that next year is really defensive heavy, because if you go defense, especially in such a top corner draft next year with at least two 1st round picks, because let's be honest,
we're not getting
that Wentz pick is not that Wentz.
How do you sprain both ankles?
That's your boy, Aiden.
I know.
I just envision him like just jumping up and both ankles just like going like this. And like,
I want to talk about this because we brought up Wentz, and I'm curious, just from the other side, the other perspective. Do you find that the Eagles are a more dangerous team with Hurts than they would have been with Wentz? And because I'm not sure yet. In the
I'm not sure either. I'm really not. I mean, I don't know. I was high on Wentz coming out, and I was high on him the first couple of years. I bought my wife a black Wentz jersey, and that's she swears that's when everything went downhill. It's my fault, so I'll take full blame. But I thought he was going to be superstar. I really did. And then he hit last year, and he hit the skid. So I don't know. Hurts. Everybody's like he can't do it. I don't know, but he scares me. He really does. I think he has the ability to grow, and he's a winner. So I don't know if they're as lethal yet, but I think they're on their way. And they have better weapons than they did around. I think now Watkins,
100%. For sure. I mean, he hit over 21 miles per hour. Okay, and there's the fastest play of the last 2 weeks.
He'll have over 100 receiving yards again this week.
Yeah, probably. I mean, hopefully Smith does too. But it's
is he on our waiver wire? I shouldn't say that.
No, Smith. Oh, yeah, I'm going on right now. Fuck you.
I also want to take advantage. I want to take advantage of having more opinions from the division and talk about the division as well. Because it seems like it's going to be another year where it's up in the air. Let's be honest. I think this is going to get decided late. To me, the Giants look like a joke. There's some really bad stuff going on in that front office as well. Redskins. I don't hate Taylor Heineke, but I'm not sure that he can lead a team to the playoffs. From obviously the Cowboys, you think the Cowboys are going to win, and I think they probably had the best shot too. But how do you see the division shaking out, both of you, and what really do you think will be the determining factor?
Hey, no, I'll let you go because I know you want to talk Giants.
Yes, Morgan, you brought up a great point. Giants are a joke. I hate Joe Judge. He is a joke.
Here we go. He opened up the blocks.
Drills, yeah. Him throwing that temper tantrum because his 6-10 team that lost to the Eagles didn't make the playoffs, and we didn't bail him out by beating Washington in Week 17. That is the sign of a loser. They are a loser franchise. They are a joke. We've dominated them for a decade. So I'm not even considering them in contention for the division this year.
And who's right behind Joe Judge is backstabbing Jason Garrett, who's right there to take his job.
And Kenny Galladay came out today and was like, I wasn't actually yelling at Daniel Jones, but I was yelling at Jason Garrett for doing a bad job. So somebody over there is doing a bad job.
That was great.
So I can't even consider them. It'll be a tough division in the terms that none of us are good enough to pull away, but I don't even consider the Giants. Washington football team, I kind of feel bad for them because Ryan Fitzpatrick could have got you to the playoffs, but he gets hurt. Taylor Heineke, like you said, I don't know if he can lead a team to the playoffs. And they've had such a great defense and have such a great front seven and invest in that defensive line. Now you're right back where you were these past few years where you're like, all right, do we even have mediocre quarterback play?
Right.
So I'm pleasantly surprised with the Eagles. Double-digit wins, I really don't know. It's an easy schedule, but I really don't know if we can get there. I would lean Cowboys just because I think Dak Prescott is the best quarterback in the division, and I think that's what would carry them there. But every team is filled with holes, and Kevin will attest to it. Like we talk about our weaknesses and our strengths every week on the podcast, and he's brought it up with like the safeties and the corners. So everyone can be exposed. It's only week 3. But this is going to be a big week. They always say, like, when we play the Cowboys late, that'll determine the division in week 17. By that time, it's usually always decided. And, like, someone's resting the starters because the division is done. Chris is the game that'll decide it.
Yeah. Chris is smiling because this is what he said before the season started. This is the game.
This is the week.
We had E-Rock on a couple weeks ago, and I said this was the game that is going to show us where Sirianni is. Like the first 2 games, okay, Atlanta, first-year head coach versus first-year head coach, whatever. Second game, we'll see if Sirianni can out-coach the offensive guru that is Kyle Shanahan. We saw that was no. But this is it. This is the division game that you go into Dallas, and this is the last division game for 2 months. And this is like you need this to show that you're legit. Like, even if you lose this game, you show that you're in it. You show that maybe the game wasn't won because of defensive miscues or whatever, but the offensive was looking great, especially against a really bad Dallas defense. It has to happen. And I think the fact that Sirianni's taking ownership for last week's really bad stuff and saying that before we even move on to Dallas, we need to correct the mistakes that we did last week. I think that shows a lot. a lot. It's a lot different than we saw Doug Peterson. Doug Peterson was just like, I'm just going to look in the mirror, look in the mirror, and just look in the mirror. And then I'm going to tell you that someone's day to day when they're really week to week, and then the week to week guy is really month to month, and the month to month guy is really.
Now let's go have some ice cream.
He could run for Senate. He could run for Senate. He'd be a good senator. Absolutely. Yeah, great politics.
You think he gets another head coaching job?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I think so.
I'm surprised he hasn't got a job, to be honest.
I think
seems
so.
like a wandering consultant. Like
he's been in every team.
He's been hanging out. He was hanging out with Foles. He was hanging out with Wentz. He was just hanging out with his buddies. I think so. Like, I don't think so with the Colts, but you kind of wonder if he was hanging out with the Bears just to kind of see where he may coach next year, because Nagy sucks. Nagy's awful. I honestly think Joe Brady will be there, maybe even Brian Dabble. But I think Matt Nagy's done after this year. Maybe Doug Peterson's looking at Justin Fields like, that's the guy I wanted. It's and then he goes over to Indy and is like, hey Frank, Nick Foles, trade for him.
Yeah.
Once he's gonna get hurt. Once he's gonna get hurt, so you might as well trade for him. Remember the last time we did that,
Worked out.
So I think he'll be back next year. Last year was definitely a really rough on the mental state. Like, dude, still has millions of dollars. Just go hang out somewhere on the beach, have all the ice cream that you want, and just
he's fine. But I agree with you guys. I think this isn't going to seal the division, but I think it comes down to our two teams. I really do. Washington has an unbelievable defense, but they haven't shown that through two games yet. I mean, they let the Chargers move the ball on them, and then the Giants looked. That was one of the best games I've seen Daniel Jones play in his career, I think, and it was against that vaunted Washington defense. So, are they the same? It's always so hard for a defense to play so well and then back it up again that next year. Only those real elite defenses do that. So I think I said it before the season, the Eagles are going to be sneakily good. I don't think if they're a 10-11 win team, but I think they're going to be right there with the Cowboys. And I don't know if the Cowboys are a 10-11 win team either. I mean, I look at the schedule. I'm like, how do they go to Kansas City and win? I don't even know. I think they could lose at home after the Eagles to the Panthers. I think the Panthers are going to give them problems. So they have that's why I think this game, it should be a high-scoring game. It should be like 35-27, which means it's going to be 17-14.
Defensive freaking struggle.
9-0, probably.
Ben DiNucci show again.
Oh, God.
So, but he's on the practice squad. He's still here, baby. We were this close to having him on.
Better him than Clay and Thorson, huh? Hey, we're both alumni of Clay and Thorson.
True. Yeah.
Poor Liam.
For better or for worse? Actually, definitely for worse.
For worse.
Poor Liam. He made that song for Clay and Thorson. I'm not sure if you guys know Liam Jenkins.
Yeah.
Who doesn't know Liam Jenkins?
Mm-hmm.
But he made a nice song about Clay and Thorson. And it's the song of nightmares, I guess. Yeah. It's not Meek Mill's Dreaming Nightmares. It's just Liam Jenkins' Nightmares.
Just nightmares.
Just nightmares. Yeah. It's just nightmares.
The 1 year wonder.
That song is just named after Falcons fans. That's nightmares. That's just what they have every day. Aiden was just at the opening game, and he said they were playing Meek Mill in the stadium after Kenny Gainwell scored. He's like, "What are you guys doing?"
It was all Eagles fans at that point. It was a party.
A tidbit you're saying with the Chargers. I remember that we had, this was a couple years ago, we had a primetime game in LA. It was when their first year there, and it was a primetime game, and they had to pump stadium noise into the stadium because there's too many Eagles fans and there are no Chargers. It's like, why give LA two franchises? I don't understand.
That's when they were playing in like that soccer stadium too, right?
Yeah. It was like a 30,000 seat soccer stadium, which makes it even worse because it's not at the ratio of a normal football stadium, and it was 100%. All Eagles fans.
I'm surprised we haven't talked about this, but so your boy Kevin, your boy Dak, how's that shoulder looking? Because the first game, I didn't watch the second game because there was no reason for me to. But that first game when I was watching, obviously Thursday Night Football, didn't look like too many deep shots because it looked like they're playing pretty conservatively for that shoulder. So how that second,
I don't know if it was the shoulder or if it was that they were trying to.
Ankle.
the ankle too, but I think it was more honestly a Kellen Moore plan not to have him standing in the pocket taking deep shots. They were trying to get the ball out quick, out to the sides to eliminate that front of Tampa Bay, especially Vita Vea and Sue when Zach Martin wasn't in. So he looked fine the other day. He took a couple shots. You said you didn't see it, but on the last drive, he threaded the needle to Amari Cooper when they needed it to get into field goal range. So he looks like he has zip on the ball. I'm fine with him right now. I think he's everything that we need to be right now. And I was never a Dak believer. I was never a Dak hater. But right now, I mean, he's not top 5 quarterback, but you can't say he's not top 10 anymore. You just can't. I don't think.
Yeah, I think that's the toughest thing with Eagles fans. Like, we're past the Wentz versus Dak thing. For the first 2 years, there was obviously a very strong case towards Wentz. Like,
absolutely,
it was a very strong case towards Wentz, especially that 2017 season. But then, and people and Cowboys fans still bring up the Rookie of the Year versus 2017. But we're like 2017 was an MVP year, and it's better than Rookie of the Year. And then 2018, 2020 was kind of like. No, 2018 and 2019 was pretty. I think it's closed the gap.
Yep.
Because you still saw 2019 once bring this team to the playoffs and be a really good team despite throwing to people that are shorter than us and heavier than us and slower than us. It was just he was still making things happen. 4,000 yards and never happened before in Eagles history. But and then last year just slammed the book like Mm-hmm. Dak, even though Dak was hurt, like that just slammed the door. Like Wentz, no, it's and as much as we'll probably lose followers and subscribers and all this, but Dak's better than Wentz, and
that's what I trust me. I ask Aiden, I destroy my own fan base. I hate Cowboys fans. The whole DC 4L thing. Eagles fans, stop, okay? You don't have to take it so personal. You're allowed to say a player on a rival team is good, okay? It's okay.
Yeah.
I'm the first person I'm the complete opposite of the anti-Eagle Cowboys fan. Like, I'll wear my Cowboys jersey to the link, and when people dump them, I go, I know, I'm an asshole. Everybody has their flaws. This is just mine. You gotta have fun with it. If you don't have fun with it, what's the point?
Especially with like when I used to live in the Bronx. I was born and raised in the Bronx, and obviously I said before I'm a Red Sox fan, and I've worn my Red Sox jerseys to the Yankee Stadium before. I've gotten shit thrown on me, and I'm just like, okay, I'm a Red Sox fan. It's the
idiots. That's what people don't understand. Like when Philly fans get their bad rap for beating people up, what people never understand is it's the people that go into the link wearing an opposing jersey and they stand up and they're flexing and no, you're in someone else's house. If you want to wear another jersey, if you're there to support your team, just sit there, shut up, and enjoy the game. You don't have to be a clown. That's when you're going to get beat up or get a beer thrown on you. Simple as that. Because I've never had a problem at the link, ever.
You can wear Crocs to my dinner party. Just shut up about it.
Exactly. I love that.
Yeah.
I've never worn Crocs in my life, but I've heard they're very comfortable.
I do not own a pair.
They're quite comfy.
You are of course you're a Crocs wearer.
Everybody has them now. They're like a fashion trend now. They went from being made fun of to like everybody has them. I don't know what happened.
I'm a teacher, and so many of my students have freaking Crocs. I hate it. I absolutely hate it.
I don't know what happened. All of a sudden, now they're fashionable.
So where are you guys watching the game? Home, bar?
With my
kids,
with my little more than a week old in my arms, trying to keep them quiet so I can hear the fucking game, and my toddler is sleeping hopefully on my couch.
I'm in Canada, so we're still we're pretty locked down. So I'll be watching it at home. Still drinking. That won't stop me. Probably gonna have to. Yeah, for sure.
So the two of us are going to be in a boxing ring watching the show.
Nice.
We're live streaming from the Showboat in Atlantic City for Brandon.
Nice.
We're going to be locked in a boxing ring together.
Cool.
Live streaming the show.
Nice. And first touchdown gets the first punch.
Tune into that, guys.
I think that's Yeah, I think we last maybe till halftime before we actually want to fight each other with all the trash talk that'll be going on. But it should be fun.
Because we've never watched a game together. Aiden shuts his phone off during.
I'm one of those
Eagles
guys
games.
too. Yeah.
All right. Are you guys like in Philly going to Atlantic City, or are you Jersey going to Atlantic City?
I live in Bucks County, so I'll be driving now.
And I live in Philly, so straight down the AC Expressway.
Yeah. All right. Yeah, I'm North Jersey.
Nice.
That's where I grew up.
Where can, just so we shout out, where can people watch that? Just so we can give you.
Aiden, you want to give the pub?
Yeah. So, at Birds vs. Voice Pod is the Twitter account, so it'll be there. And then from Branded Sports as well. We're doing a few live streams, but it just worked out that we were playing each other this week. So at Branded Sports _ our first account got suspended. But
Yeah, we don't want to talk
I
about
digress.
that. Our
We
big
got our
account.
second ones.
Oh shit! This is gonna ruin
you can
us.
watch it there.
Don't get Chris started.
Shit.
Yeah.
Now, one of our interns posted a video with 3 seconds of copyrighted audio, and
Oh my god, that's the fucking worst.
That's all it took.
I got a DCMA shit. I got it a few weeks ago. Something from Twitter saying if you do this again, you get suspended. It's from a video 5 years ago.
Yep.
Are you fucking kidding me?
Yep. And it was right before football season. We have all these events happening. We're going to the Orange Bowl in Miami. We have something based around that. And it was just nope, bye, your Twitter's gone. We're like, excuse me, what?
Oh, I want to apologize to Ben because I'm right outside my backyard. So that's the cricket that's behind me. Sorry.
I could hear it in my headphones. I didn't know who it was. But.
I think it's better than you haven't been. See, if you were on a podcast with Brian, he has a turtle in the background. He has a rabbit in the background.
His doorbell rang the other day, and he's like, "Do I?" And I was like, "Bro, we're recording right now. You don't answer that. There's someone else in your household that can get that."
Yeah.
Anyways.
I think that happened to us one time. We got the doorbell in the background. And I was like, should I just
that was your
who's ever there? Yeah. Should I just bring them on the podcast?
Yeah.
All right. So before we end this, and before I get more texts from my wife saying, "Hey, are you almost done?" Prediction for Monday night.
Oh, we got to do this, don't we?
Kevin, do you want to go first?
No,
want me to go first?
No, you go first. All
right. So I think we touched on it earlier. This is the game. This is a 50-50 game. It's going to be one of those one-possession games. What I'm looking for is to play mistake-free football, as cliche as it is. But if you look at the Chargers last week, they had 12 penalties for 99 yards. They threw 2 interceptions. One of them was in the red zone. They had a touchdown called back. They missed the field goal. And in a one-possession game, that's just inexcusable. It can't happen. So for us, no turnovers so far for us on offense yet, knock on wood, but I want to see mistake-free football because that's what wins you a one-possession game like this will probably turn out to be. We just don't have the talent to really pull away from a Cowboys team like this, so I think it'll be close. I have to go Eagles win. Because I really don't want to drive back from Atlantic City at midnight after a loss. I will
buy you a room at Ocean.
Yeah,
I don't Tropicana's a little cheaper.
I get that Drake soundtrack going, and the tears will be flowing. Have that Kleenex box, It'll be tough.
There's a few songs on the new album that I might put on and listen to as I'm heading back at
you'll be bumping "I'm Too Sexy" the whole time after Eagles win.
All right, can we just say that the new Drake album is better than the new Kanye album?
Yeah. Thank you.
Did not need to be
hands
said.
down. Yeah.
Okay.
Kanye's been dead since College Dropout. That was
Kanye's been dead since
rest in peace, man. I miss old Kanye.
Since he married Kim Kardashian.
Old Kanye.
My girlfriend has a younger sibling, and I was trying to explain to him what young Kanye, what early Kanye.
Two different Kanyes.
He just didn't. It was just tough.
You had to be there in 2007 when Graduation came out. Yep. I liked 50 Cent, and he just smoked his album. Yep. And then he goes up against Drake this time, and it wasn't even close.
Not even.
One of my favorite songs of all time is still "Through the Wire." When he first came out,
hands down. Yep.
Still love that song.
That being said, not a fantastic Drake album.
No, it's not fantastic, but it's still better than Donda.
Yeah,
better than Donda, and I think my thing was way better than Scorpion. He'll never make another Take Care, which is fine. It just is what it is. But
there's
I
always
thought
albums that you
better.
can never reach again.
Yeah, that was the peak, and that's fine. But I don't think
2017 Eagles. You guys will never Just
We'll
never
never
happened.
recreate
It's like
that.
the 1995 Cowboys.
Exactly.
Yeah, there you go.
Right here. So,
All right.
All right.
Long story short, 24-20 Eagles.
So last spread I saw, I was making the things for, we do a breakdown videos of each game. I think it's 3.5 points Cowboys. I'm taking the Birds plus 3.5 because I think it's going to be a field goal game. I think the Cowboys should win this game. I don't see them running away, even though it's going to be a packed house, first capacity crowd at AT&T Stadium. But I would not be surprised if there's a ton of Philadelphia fans down there. So it's going to be loud either way. It's going to come down to turnovers. That's what I think. Turnovers and third down conversions. If the Cowboys want to win this game, they need to turn over Hurts. Dak can't throw any interceptions, and they need to contain him on third down with the runs. If it's 3rd and 8, 3rd and 11, 3rd and 7, and they're continuously letting Hurts run for first downs, it's going to be a long night. But I don't know about the score. Probably 30-27, something like that.
Morgan, are you going, Chris?
All right. No, I'll do more than I'll end the podcast. I'll be
before the season, I had this as a loss. I think that it's a tough situation to go into. The 49ers game didn't instill that much confidence. I just don't think it instilled enough confidence for me to change my mind. I do think it'll be a close game, but unfortunately, I just don't see a breakout candidate yet. I think what's going to happen is the next game, which is going to matter down the stretch. The Eagles are going to pull that out. But I just think there's too many moving parts right now for them to come together cohesively. And again, what I was talking about earlier, I just think there's Tony Pollard is going to run all over us. That's what I think. I think straight up. And then the receivers are going to do what they do. Is this the game that, I think to win this game, the Eagles need Devontae Smith to break out. Quez Watkins to get a long touchdown, Jalen Reagor to take some screens, big gains, and most importantly, Miles Sanders needs to show up. I just don't know that all those things are going to happen week 3. So I think it's going to be close, but I think that Kevin's prediction of the score is probably about right. I think that unfortunately the Eagles can't pull this one out. And
I am afraid of the Brandon Graham come around game play for him.
Yeah,
that scares me.
That's true.
Yeah, that's a good point. That's a good point. Like this team is very good, especially with the chemistry that they have right now at coming together around stuff like that. Especially now, it's coupled between Brandon Brooks and Brandon Graham. It's the branded sports.
Oh God, don't do that to me.
There you go. I think it's gonna be a very close game. High scoring. I like the Eagles have been very good defensively for two weeks of the season. I think that's done this week. I think CeeDee Lamb and Amari Cooper are way too much for the secondary. And as a couple of that, with Tony Pollard, it's going to be rough. The Eagles defensive line has not been great. They've been good on getting pressure. They haven't been great on getting sacks. They don't think they have 3 sacks in the season. And that all came against Atlanta. They didn't do anything against the 49ers last week. So it's going to be rough. The matchup I'm watching is your right tackle versus Josh Sweat. So it's going to be, or maybe they move Josh Sweat over to Brandon Graham's spot, and they start Derek Barnett, who's a fucking boneheaded player. I'd rather Milton Williams in that spot, but we'll see. But the Steele needs to show up against these edge rushers, because no matter who you put on that line, they're really good. That defensive line is such a great defensive line. But I think it's gonna come down to late. You say turnovers. The Eagles haven't forced a turnover in 2 games on defense.
Should have. To be fair,
they should.
That fumble should have.
Oh, the Kayvon, the fumble that got called back because Kayvon Wallace was trying to just tackle the guy.
How could he go any lower? I don't know what you want him to do.
I hope the NFL takes a look at those kind of plays over the offseason.
That was dumb.
There's been a few of them, and it just doesn't make sense.
But regardless, it's still zeros in the giveaways and takeaways columns and the takeaways column. So it's but at the same time, they haven't given away on offense either. So there's zeros on both sides. So something's got to give. And I do think, bias aside, not really. That the takeaways are going to have a tick in that department, and the giveaways are not. And I just think the Eagles will squeak this out. I just think the fact that we've seen, if we've seen such a really bad effort in the first two games, then this would sway me the other way. But I think Sirianni's just built a group of people that really believe in him and want to fight for him. And Hurts has been such a leader so far that people want to fight for him too. And a couple of that, couple thrice hit, whatever, with Brandon Brooks and Brandon Graham being hurt, especially Brandon Graham over Brandon Brooks. I love Brandon Brooks, but Brandon Graham's been
He's the glue.
He's been the guy. He's been blessed to absolute Super Bowl hero to indispensable player. That he took less money to stay in Philly to sign his extension because he wants to be here. So I think the Eagles will win this. I think it'll be closer to a shootout, like way over 30. I think it's a Devontae Smith or a Quez Watkins versus Anthony Brown game. I think it's a Jalen Hurts maybe rushing for a couple touchdowns or Miles Sanders rushing for a couple touchdowns game. I think on the other side, it's Dak maybe rushing for one or two and throwing to Lamb on freaking Avonte Maddox. I think it's going to be a 41-37 game. Wow. And Eagles win.
Yeah, all right. That'll be fun to watch.
I think
it's gonna be entertaining.
Slowly came to the realization that I'm the only one that said the Cowboys are gonna win. So
no. I said Cowboys. I said Cowboys win. Eagles cover.
Morgan, you're fired. Outside of that,
you can't.
so
Brian's not here. You can't fire me.
No. So from now on, listen. Last time Brian could do a podcast before you were on, I did it by myself, so I can do it by myself.
Absolutely,
right. That's fine.
I'll tune in.
But Kevin and Aiden, thank you so much for joining us. It's been probably one of our longest podcasts of the season, but it flew by.
We talk a lot.
It's just no, we do too. It's okay. So it's been it just flew by.
Brian in the chat. Brian, it's your anniversary, man. Go talk to your wife.
Okay. Yeah, there's our other co-host.
So he's the guy who's usually in the spot who's on.
So Brian's ignoring Crystal, his wife, to come on our podcast to talk shit.
To talk shit about.
Just to talk shit. So it's.
I ignore my wife during hate week too. That's why I have these two banners. So
I just got another text because it's been very long, and I hear my
it's dad
crying.
time.
Yeah. But thank you guys again.
Absolutely.
Maybe we'll do this again later on. And
absolutely. We'll have you guys on our show too
for the second game of the season when the Eagles try to go 2-0 and the Cowboys this year.
I like that positive energy. We'll do it then.
That's it.
I appreciate it.
I just radiate positive energy.
Positive energy.
Go Cowboys.
Yeah. Fuck you. So for of course for Morgan, for Brian in the chat when he shouldn't be. Hold on. It's been an hour and 19 minutes, Brian. Pay attention
guys,
to your fucking
go
life.
Check out Birds vs. Boys.
Yeah, subscribe to them.
Yes, check out their stream too. That sounds like a lot of fun as well.
See who wins.
They might fight each other. Pay-per-view.
It's going to be a lot of fun. Yeah. Even though Aiden towers over me, but that's okay.
Well,
just got to get inside. That's
right. That's it.
Being 5'7", who doesn't tower over you? But anyways, go Birds.
These are our guests, Chris.
Let's go, boys.
Appreciate it, guys.
Later.
Thank you. This is fun.